In a small, forgotten town, there was an old house at the end of a winding road. No one had lived there for decades, but the locals swore they could hear faint whispers coming from its walls at night. The house stood crooked, its windows cracked and its paint peeling, as if it were alive and rotting. One rainy evening, a young woman named Clara moved into the house. She had inherited it from a distant relative and, desperate for a fresh start, decided to make it her home. The townsfolk warned her not to stay, but Clara laughed off their superstitions. "It's just an old house," she said. The first night was quiet, but on the second night, Clara began to hear them. Soft, muffled whispers, like voices trapped in the walls. She told herself it was the wind or the creaking of old wood. But the whispers grew louder, clearer. They called her name. "Clara, Clara, dot, dot." She searched the house, but there was no one there. The whispers seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. By the third night, she couldn't sleep. The voices were relentless, pleading, begging her to listen. "Help us. Free us." Desperate, Clara tore at the walls, peeling back the layers of wallpaper and plaster. Beneath it, she found something that made her blood run cold. Dozens of names scratched into the wood, each one accompanied by a date. The dates went back over a century, and the most recent one was just a week before she arrived. As she stared at the names, the whispers turned to screams. The walls began to crack and splinter, and shadows swirled around her. Clara tried to run, but the door slammed shut, locking her inside. The last thing she heard was the voices, now triumphant, as the walls closed in around her. The next morning, the house was silent once more. The townsfolk avoided it, as they always had. But if you pass by on a quiet night, you might hear the whispers, and if you listen closely, you'll hear a new name among them.